The first match of the new and thrilling Neo-Egoist League arc is just about to start, and we're starting it off with a bang as FC Barcha is facing off against Bastard Munchen. As the FC Barcha players enter the field, Otoya and Bachira spots Isagi on the bench, and Bachira says that he's going ahead. Isagi thinks back to the 10 days of training leading up to this and says that he wasn't able to reach the top 11 regulars, and out of everyone in Blue Lock, the only one who was chosen was the wildcard himself, Kunigami. Isagi is both angry and pissed at every single second he was to spend on the bench. He wants to be on the pitch and burn his presence into the players' minds. And just then, the match starts. Kaiser and Ness begin their honeymoon phase as they pass each other. Ness spots Grim on the other side and passes him a super clean vertical pass right between Barcha's players. Grim uses his brute force to get behind not one, but two players from Barcha, and then when he gets his chance, he passes the ball to the other side, into the legs of Eric Genser. Isagi is stunned as he is looking at their play, saying that Eric is outstanding at trapping, and says that he threads the needle with his delicate dribbling, which is such an over-explained way of saying things. Eric looks into the box and decides to pass Kunigami even though he's being surrounded by defenders. The ball is approaching, and so is Kaiser. Kaiser is in a perfect position to receive a pass from Kunigami. However, he instead decides to trap the ball with his chest to forcibly keep it. He moves forward while he pushes the defenders back, and then shoots an incredible shot with his left leg trademark. The ball is going at an impressive speed, however the Barcha goalkeeper managed to reach it in time and save it. Isagi is still just watching from the sidelines, but he compliments Kunigami, saying that he's evolving at an incredible speed, and that he's drastically boosted all of his physical abilities, which has given him the freedom to be able to score a goal from anywhere on the pitch, calling Kunigami the perfect striker without any weaknesses. The ball is still in play, and Barcha decides to counter, but as Kunigami runs back, Ness stops him. He asks Kunigami what he's trying to do, and that if he had passed to Kaiser, they would have scored. Even so, Kunigami doesn't give a shit, and says that he will follow his own way of dominance, telling Ness to go and bark up another tree. This upsets Ness, and he grabs Kunigami, telling him with a smile that a violation of loyalty to Kaiser is his first yellow card. After that, we go into something more interesting, as Blue Lock's own little monster gets the ball and says that it's showtime. He also says that it's time to raise the BPM before thinking about what football he shall dance. However, before that, we go into a flashback and turn back 10 days to when the Blue Lock players first get introduced to Lavinho. Otoya asks him if this is for real, and if Lavinho will teach them football. Lavinho says that he's their master, however he will not teach them football. He laughs and says that this place was built to make the best striker in the world, but he is already the best, so why would he give out any hints? Even so, Bachira asks him if Noel Noa isn't the best striker in the world. This upsets Lavinho, who asks him if he's trying to pick a fight. He then says that he doesn't care what anyone says because he knows that he's the best. Lavinho then goes off and says that he has something inside him. It's something that others can't see, but instead, an image that exists within him alone. He then takes the ball and says that if you want to become the best, then you can't just do as you're told. Back in Brazil, they have a word called ginga, which means something like shaky or swaying. It comes from capoeira, which is a mix between dancing and martial arts. He tells them that you can start out by copying other strong dudes and then try to mix it up and create their own image of the best in the world, saying that their original style starts there. Lavinho himself uses the image of a butterfly as he dances on the field. He ends it by saying that football is all about improvising at the moment. It's about stealing the rhythm to one that pleases you. Then Bachira jumps in and steals the ball, and I love Otoya. He's like Bachira's own hype man. After that, Bachira gets to see how his movements look like. He says that he should try to copy Lavinho's movements and then mix that up with his own image of the world's best. So he begins his training with some hard work and meditation. After that, when Bachira and Lavinho are alone, Bachira tells him that he can also see a thing which he calls his monster. However, Bachira is unsure what to do with it, as he got stronger by overcoming it. But what image should he come up with now? Lavinho asks if the monster is still there, and Bachira says that he can bring it up again if he wants to. Lavinho then says that it's easy, and that Bachira has to evolve that monster to the next level. Bachira's monster is his own guide to his originality, and will lead to him reaching the spot as the world's best. After that, we get back to the game where Bachira is absolutely crushing an opponent. Igarashi and Hiroi are amazed, but Isagi is focused on something else as he says that he feels that Bachira's dribbling posture has changed. It now feels like he's spending less energy. He's moving the ball around with his foot practically glued to it. Even so, his ball touches do very little movement to his actual center of gravity, which makes him a lot more stable. Another one from Bastard Munchen goes to stop Bachira and says that even though he has infinite options to dribble to, he's still not moving forward. He gets impatient and decides to go in himself, but because of that, he gets absolutely demolished, as he was the first one to taste Bachira's new dribble style, his Ginga X Monster style. But then another threat comes around as Kunigami comes to stop him. However, Bachira is hyped up as he tells them to go, and even calls Kunigami the wild hero. However, before they go at each other, Bachira tells Kunigami that it's nice to see him again, but Kunigami just rushes at him, saying that he will take the lead. Bachira tries to shake off Kunigami with some dribbles, but Kunigami is steadily following. Bachira then swings wide with a double touch, which then leads into another double touch. However, this one is much faster than the last one, which makes him get behind Kunigami in no time. After Kunigami stands both Grim and Eric, but they are nothing to Bachira, who makes a beautiful back heel pass to Ignacio Lala on the left wing, who right away passes it away to Otoya in the box. The ball falls down and leads on his heel, which he uses to continue the attack, and passes it back to Bachira, who's by his side. Bachira jumps up and does an outstanding goal, which gives FC Barcha a 1-goal lead. Isagi is watching from the benches, and says that FC Barcha really is a free and amusing team that lets the players play as they want. Both Ignacio and Otoya go to celebrate with Bachira, which is kind of sweet. They all look so happy. As Isagi was able to analyze Bachira from the bench, he says that Bachira's dribbling has clearly evolved, saying that Bachira is now able to just do what he wants, and says that he attacks like a child, which is also quite sweet. Even so, Bachira also has his adult side where he waits for his opponent and makes a move based on that. Bachira is only able to play like this thanks to FC Barcha's carefree and fun environment. Isagi then compares it with Ego's speech and says that this was what he meant. However, if that's the case, then what is it that he's supposed to learn from his environment? Bastard Munchen's style is rationality, and judging from the other series of plays earlier, they basically cut off every unnecessary move and get in front of the goal by using the shortest possible distance. Isagi thinks about what he would do if he were to get subbed in right now. Should he stick to the role of connecting with Kaiser? No, that's not going to work, as he doesn't possess any individual skills that Grim and Eric don't have already. But if he were to ignore their rule and play for the sake of his own goal, he might just end up getting ignored like Kunigami is. After that, he overhears Igarashi and Hiroi talking. Igarashi says that Kunigami is going to be substituted any second now, as it's completely a one-man egocentric play. Hiroi agrees and says that it's damaging the team's rationality. Igarashi is really out here thinking that he will get subbed in. Keep wishing, bro. Isagi goes back to his little mind and says that even if he were to get subbed in now, he's no idea what to do. Up until now, he's only been able to fight this far because of Blue Lock's ego mindset and rules. But now it's different, as he has to fit into the Bastard Munchen system. It's already hard getting in with just numbers, but now he has to change his style as well. He looks over at Kunigami and says that his existence is for sure a hint for him to be able to get into the spot of the regulars. And then the match was back. Ness asks Kaiser what they are going to do now, and Kaiser coldly tells him that they will execute them. They start their 1-2s with each other and flawlessly get behind 3 of FC Barcha's players, including Bachira. Isagi is in shock. He says that Ness is really good and that his ankles are really flexible. He then compliments Kaiser for moving up to the perfect position to create a pass course, while Ness stays at the perfect distance to pass at any time. And with his ankle technique, he's able to easily switch directions past an opponent, calling Ness the beating heart of Bastard Munchen. Yoichi is pissed at the bench and says that if he also had an impressive midfielder behind him, he would be able to score up to 1,000,000 goals, saying that Kaiser is just blessed by this system. Isagi agrees to an extent and says that the team is moving by doing rational plays. However, ever since this match started, Kaiser's movements haven't had a single second to waste. He's been moving as bait, positioning to receive the ball and breaking out for a shooting course. The way Kaiser moves, it's almost like he's embodying Isagi's ideal movements. They have finally reached the critical point of the field, and just then, all of Bastard Munchen moves up, which gives Ness infinite cross possibilities, which makes it so that the defenders can't even imagine what comes next. And then Ness shoots his cross. The ball goes of course to Kaiser, who's been hiding stealthily in the infinite options within the most efficient spot. However, it's not as easy for Kaiser as it sounds, as the man, the myth and the legend Bachira comes behind him. Kaiser takes his hand and tries to push him back. Even so, Bachira is still holding on. The ball goes down, and Kaiser starts off with a fake out, which disturbs their movements. And then right as he gets his chance, he uses his Kaiser impact to shoot the ball right away. The ball is flying so fast that the goalkeeper has no chance of reacting, and with that, he makes the scores even. Isagi is amazed and calls Kaiser a genius, saying that unlike Bachira, Nagi, or even Rin, on the field, he's a genius of extended plays. Kaiser is able to embody his ideal form, but it's not even that anymore because he's already managed to surpass that. Noah gets up and says that Kaiser's right foot kick that uses all of his body at once to execute, calling Kaiser the fastest in the world when it comes to the swing, which is the one thing he beats Noah in. This makes Isagi wonder if he's been thinking about it all wrong. The foundation of Bastard Munchen's hyper-rationality isn't the players around him, but it's Kaiser's ability itself that is the philosophy of the team. If all the goals are scored with Kaiser impact, an absolute rationality without any inefficiency would be created in the team, the method of turning 0 into 1. Isagi then thinks back to ego, saying that it's just as he mentioned before, that an original striker with an overwhelming 0 to 1 is here. But does this mean that Kaiser is the embodiment of Blue Lock's ideals of having the world's best qualities? Kaiser is walking beside Bachira, and he tells him that it was to be expected that the world was filled with nasty egos. Bachira looks back and says that Kaiser is the best, and that's why he will crush him. However, just then, someone rises himself from the seat. He says that he wasn't planning to come out, but even so, he's ready to use his 3 minutes. And it's of course the man himself, Lavinho, who gets out and goes to join the battle. This shocks everyone who wasn't ready for Lavinho to come out. However, someone quickly goes to the counter, and it's Noah who says that Lavinho is still as immature as always, as he takes off his jacket and goes to join in as well. They go forward to each other and face off, which actually looks so incredibly cool, with both Noah and Lavinho facing off, and not to mention Kitsunezato and Hayate being 2 hype men as they always are. Noah looks furiously into Lavinho's eyes and says that he lost to Noah last year, but Lavinho just calls Noah's football boring and too rational, saying that his heart goes out to his apprentices. Even so, Noah just tells him that his team is filled with children without a proper adult, which funny enough makes Lavinho turn into a child. After that, Noah turns to Kunigami and asks to hear his theory, saying that to fight on this team, one of the options in the attacks is centralized with Kaiser. And if you don't want to do that, then you will have to show that your abilities surpass Kaiser. However, Kunigami managed to fail in both of them, and on top of that, he's got nothing to say in his defense. Noah then turns to the players and says that the opposite of chance is a pinch, and if you miss the chance that's in front of you, you will then fall into a pinch, which is equal to a missed opportunity. But that's only because the risk and return are equal. He goes back to Kunigami and tells him that he's failed and is being put on the bench for a better player who is none other than Isagi Yoichi. This makes Four Eyes angry, and he goes to argue right away. He asks Noah to give him an explanation, and that when it comes to training numbers, he is better. Even so, the world has to get what they want, and that is Isagi. Isagi's chance has finally come, and he will now make his debut match and dive into the field of superstars. And with that, the two teams get ready and then quickly start the game. Lavinho has the ball, and Noah goes to stop him right off the bat. Lavinho tries to throw him off, but it's the best player in the world we are talking about here. Isagi is looking from the side and says that there is no way for him to keep up, calling it a battle of the gods. Even so, it's not like he just wants to give up and let them have their fun, because he finds a space that he thinks he can use to help Noah. However, as he gets closer, Lavinho does a rainbow flick, and then uses Isagi as a block to get past Noah. Igarashi is screaming from the bench, but it's not like he could have done any better. Noah quickly asks Isagi if he knows why Lavinho is called the Dance Man. However, Isagi has no idea, so Noah explains that he's the best in the world at taking his opponents by surprise. However, those magnificent steps are not the origin of that name, as the players who are led by his dribbles seem like they're dancing as they topple down. While Noah is giving his explanation, we can see Lavinho absolutely destroying the Bastard Munchen's defense. He gets to the goalkeeper and jumps over him to then get to the finishing line and backheel the ball into the goal, making FC Barcha take the lead in this game and also telling everyone to dance till they die, and then calls them cripples randomly, just standard Lavinho. With Lavinho calling everyone cripples, he got Bachira to fanboy over him to then call him a god. We then get this wholesome panel of FC Barcha celebrating together. After that, Kaiser goes over to Isagi and says that he really screwed up there. This makes Isagi mad and says he couldn't get in either. However, Kaiser tells him that he's wrong and that he chose not to, saying that he and Bachira were waiting for a chance where either of them seemed off rhythm. Any other timing and they would just be a nuisance dragging the two down. He asks Isagi how he could be so lowly to not understand such a thing, calling him an overly self-conscious clown. Kaiser walks away and Isagi stays behind thinking that he can't get into the game. However, he can't just give up and tell himself that there's a gap in ability between him and the masters. and to leave a trace of his existence, he will have to score his own goal and says that he will devour the superstars. And just like that, the game is back in action. Ness and Kaiser start off passing to each other, while Isagi thinks that the only way to steal a goal in this team would be to find a better position than Noa, and then patiently wait for a pass there. But just then, Noa starts to speed up and accelerates behind a bunch of FC Barcha players. Ness sees him speeding up and passes him. He gets the ball and embarrasses another FC Barcha player. As Isagi is trying his best to keep up with Noa's play, he finally realizes that it's impossible for the current him to find a better position than Noa. Noa keeps on destroying until Lavinho goes to stop him. However, Noa gets over him surprisingly easily. Even so, he gets stopped by the other players, which gives Lavinho time to get up again, to then bash into Noa's strong body. However, Noa uses this to his advantage and gets on top of Lavinho, to then use his ability of being ambidextrous to shoot a power shot with his left leg. The ball has incredible speed as it goes into the goal and makes the scores even, and making the last goal more important than ever before. Isagi thinks back to Noa's outstanding goal and says that a person completely ambidextrous is really rare to see and happens to less than 1% of humans. But with Noa's insane performance comes also a tragedy, as the 3 minutes have passed and both of the masters have to go out. As Noa is going back to his seat, he looks at Kunigami and says that it's time for him again. He asks if Kunigami thinks that he can trace Noa's movements after seeing it live, also calling him the wildcard's copyman. As Noa is getting to his seat, he tells both Isagi and Kunigami that this is the last chance for both of them and says that if they disappoint, then they can get replaced at any time, telling them to prove themselves with numbers. And then, the rivalry of the last goal starts between Kunigami and Isagi. As they are walking onto the pitch, Isagi asks Kunigami what Noa meant when he called him a copyman. Kunigami asks why it would matter to Isagi, but he tells him that he wants to know what happened at the wildcard so that he can beat him. Kunigami explains that the wildcard was an experiment to create a vessel and someone with the same physique as Noa. A physique that would be the same as the best player in the world. Isagi is shocked and asks how it worked. However, Kunigami says that it doesn't matter and tells him that it's not like anyone on this team is going to pass to him, telling Isagi that he should worry about himself more. And then the final stretch starts as FC Barcha starts with the ball. Isagi goes to block Bachira, but gets hit with his incredibly fast stepovers. But before he can do anything, Bachira passes to Otoya and then manages to get behind Isagi. However, behind Isagi comes Grim, who's fast on the attack and gets help from Kunigami. But not even the two of them can stop Bachira when he's starting his dance. But someone who can is Ness, who's been hiding in the dark and has waited for the right moment to strike. He gets the ball and begins the counterattack of Bastard Munchen. Isagi knows that Ness will try to pass to Kaiser, so as the ball is getting closer to Kaiser, he gets in the way and hijacks the pass. However, he's in a very bad position to score from and only has a total of 2% goal percentage. He tries to think about what to do, but the FC Barcha players are pushing him fast and he has no way to react, so he ends up taking the shot anyway, which sadly gets blocked. Even though he managed to get the ball, he was left with no ideas from that point on, and to begin with, that pass from Ness was perfected for the purpose of letting Kaiser score. So even if he were to get the ball again, without Kaiser's weapon, it's useless, as this isn't a range that you can score from without Kaiser's impact. The ball finally lands in the hands of Grim, and Isagi tries to get him to play together, but he quickly gets ignored. He knows that now more than ever, he needs to find a new way to score because if he fails, then this match ends. And if the match were to end, then he's failed at proving the worth of his existence. The only way he could turn this around is if he listened to ego and tries his best to get into flow state and then find a way to score the finishing goal. Grim is quickly advancing through the left side. He looks into the box and sees Kunigami trying his best to block of Kaiser. This makes it impossible for Grim to pass Kaiser, so he turns to his other option, which is Ness. However, before the ball actually reaches Ness, our main man Isagi comes and steals it again, making it 2-0 for Isagi versus Ness. Even so, Isagi is facing trouble right off the bat as Bachira goes to cover him, saying that stealing the ball from his teammate is so like him, which is quite funny in a way. However, both Bachira and Isagi know that he has no way of scoring from that angle. As Isagi does a fake shot to get Bachira off balance, he says that he can't see his own goal, but this is his only option to devour Kaiser, even if it means abandoning his own goal. It looks like Isagi is trying to pass Kaiser, and Ness suddenly looks happy saying that he's finally aiming to assist Kaiser, and Kaiser adds on calling him a good boy. And let me just say that I wish I was Isagi so much right now, for absolutely no reason of course. Isagi passes the ball into the middle, but as he passes, he tells Kaiser to go fuck himself and that he would never pass someone like him, because he was instead aiming for the person behind Kaiser, and that person was none other than the edgelord Kunigami. As Kunigami is powering up his shot, he tells Kunigami that the two of them can destroy not just Kaiser, but the whole team. After that, Kunigami understands that if he doesn't shoot soon, then the ball will hit his balls, so he takes his outstanding left shot to shoot an incredible goal, which from the looks of it, even shocks Noa. And with Isagi's and Kunigami's teamwork, it leads to a goal, but not just one goal, but also the honor of winning the whole match. And to end it off, Isagi tells Kunigami that this team is there to take. And that was the FC Barcha vs Bastard Munchen match, and this was such a great match to start off the neo-egoist league arc with, both by showcasing the true strengths of the pro players, but also showing us some old friends along the way. But please tell me what you thought about this match down in the comment. And if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another one of my videos, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.